Alrighty, here we go. Let's do this. It's a brand new episode of Flyers Daily for the 28th of May, 2025. Flyers Daily is always presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. We have got a lot in this episode today. Let me first turn this off because this is really bright right in the side of my head. There we go. Nonetheless, tons planned for this episode, including, as we were going to do it on Friday's episode, Sean Couturier's exit day interview, but we got really bogged down with a lot of other stuff. But we will get to that in this episode. We've got a bunch of stuff before we get to Sean Couturier's exit day interview, which is a revealing conversation and a player that I'm really interested to see how he resets, rebounds, whatever word you want to call it, under Rick Tocchet at this point in his career for Sean Couturier. I still think there's some really good hockey left in that Sean Couturier body, and certainly the hockey mind of Sean Couturier. Some players can lose a half a step as they age and handle it because of the way they think the game, they anticipate the game. Some can't. I think Sean Couturier is one of those guys. He's never been fleet of foot. Let's just be honest about it. But we'll talk to Sean Couturier and have his exit day interview coming up in just a little bit. Also, tons of thanks to all the people that sent me offers for tickets to go see Metallica and Pantera on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. I really appreciate it. I just couldn't do it. It would have been too long of a day. And either, I'm feeling better every day and stronger every day. That long of a day I'd pay a price for at this point. It's still trying to build it back my energy before I start chemo pill and radiation here in the next week or so. So, but thank you for the offers. It truly is appreciated. And I love both of those bands. As everybody knows, they're my two favorites for sure. We're going to get to a bunch of emails and messages before we get to the Sean Couturier exit day interview series, because it kind of leads me in the direction of some of the things I want to talk about on this episode. So the first one we get to actually is a tweet that came in to me, and it really wasn't much dialogue in it. The Flyers tweeted out today, well, yesterday at this point, the Philadelphia Flyers have announced today that Ian Laperriere will join the organization as an advisor of hockey operations. Danny Briere put out that Ian Laperriere will transition from his previous role as head coach of the club's American Hockey League affiliate, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and serve as an advisor to Briere president of hockey operations, Keith Jones. He said, "I want to thank Ian for his tireless work in Lehigh Valley for the last 4 seasons. He not only led the Phantoms in a return to the playoffs, but provided crucial development to several of our prospects. I'm excited to welcome him back to the Flyers so he can continue to provide his insight in helping our team as we enter the next phase of the rebuild. And the Flyers will begin a search for the new coach of the Phantoms immediately." So that's the press release that came out. And I got a note from somebody on Twitter, Dan Spencer, and he just said, "Thoughts, Jason?" with the article below it. My thoughts on it are these. I don't think Ian Laperriere wants to be an advisor. I don't think he sought out to be an advisor to a front office, to move back to working in the front office with the Philadelphia Flyers. His path started in player development after he retired. He went through those areas. Then he was on the coaching staff as an assistant to varying degrees over a number of years with Dave Hackstall, Alain Vigneault, obviously Mike Yeo, Scott Gordon. Ended up in Lehigh Valley 4 years ago as the head coach. And we even saw him when he was asked about it at the end of the season, the Phantom season, because the Flyers position had not been filled at that point. What his, did he want to put his hat in the ring? And he said, "I want to coach." He wants to be a coach. I don't think he wants to be an advisor. I think the advisor role is, in essence, again, I don't have any information on this. Basically, to me, it sounds like it's a guy who's got 1 year left on his contract. So they assign him a role. How involved will he be? We'll see. Maybe he goes out and finds another job in the AHL or the NHL. I don't know. But to me, he's a coach. He wants to be a coach. He's probably going to go out there and try and find an opportunity to be a coach. So we'll see if it comes to full fruition. But I don't think this is something where he's looking to sink his teeth in to being an advisor at this point in his arc of his post-playing career. I think he wants to be a coach. He wants to move up the levels of coaching. So I know Twitter's been kind of melting down about it. But I truly believe that this is one of those situations where it's a guy who has a year left on his contract and they assign him a title. I think it's got a very little consequence on the hockey club. That's my thoughts on that. So Dan, thanks for the prod to talk about that. I do appreciate it. And I wish Lappy the best. You guys all know how I feel about him. He comes on this podcast whenever I ask. I talk to him quite a bit. And he's such a good man. And you can have your opinions on him as a coach or a penalty kill, whatever. You're entitled to that. But I'm going to miss him as a friend and as a man if he's not here with the Philadelphia Flyers. So best of luck to one of the truly good guys in Ian Laperriere. Let's get to a couple of emails as well, and it'll lead us on our way. Bill Sunbach actually shot me an email and all said, you called it. Just read Lappy is moving to the front office. Got to say, I think he said, got to say, I think he's a voice that can help. Again, I don't think so, Bill. I don't think he's interested in that role. I think that's more a situation where end of a contract, 1 year left on it, and advisor role can kind of fit. Bob had sent me an email and said, hey, Jason, hope all is well, or at least as best as can be expected. It is. He said, I'm just watching the now unfortunately abbreviated Mondays with Meltzer. Yeah, Bill lost his signal and his internet went down. And he said, I thought of something on which I wanted to get your opinion. And that is the signing of Matvei Michkov to his next contract. We all know this is not a pressing need, but do you think it deserves a thought or two? Why wait to lock this guy up? Absolutely. You always got to be thinking about guys and how they develop and what kind of money they can command, what's the market changing in a rising cap world. You always have to be considering that, Bob, because as much as fitting the hockey team together on the ice to give you the best chance to win, you've got to fit the fiscal puzzle together off the ice. And that's not easy. Bob went on to say there's no cookie cutter format on how second contracts are supposed to look, but do you think it would behoove the Flyers to sign him earlier than normal to maybe save a few dollars? He said, just throwing numbers out, but say sign him now for $5 million AAV to whatever term it is, rather than watch him potentially light it up for the next 2 years and have him sign him to that term, or say $7 to $9 million AAV. He said, I don't claim to be anything near an expert on NHL contracts, so I don't know if this is a possibility, thus asking you. Is there any reasoning to this? Would this be prudent for the front office? I look forward to your response. Enjoy your summer, sir. It goes real fast. Sincerely, Bob. Bob, yeah, thanks for the email. I think they have to consider all this stuff that you're saying, but they can't sign him to a contract until July of next year. He signed a 3-year entry-level contract, and in the NHL, you can't sign your next contract until you get within the calendar year, the hockey calendar year, which is July 1st to June 30th of the expiration of that deal. So they can't sign him to one just yet. To me, I agree with you. He's one of those players I'd like to lock up as long as early as possible, because as you kind of alluded to in your email, I don't think the price goes down on a Matvei Michkov. And look, I think his agent is savvy enough too to know kind of where his client will be trending in the NHL. So he's not going to say, well, he's played for 2 years and this is the production he gives and this is what this production pays. No, he's going to be paying for what the production most likely will be when it comes to Matvei Michkov. So can't do it now, but they'll work all that out. And eventually, yeah, you're going to have to account for the fact that you don't have him on an entry-level contract. And it used to be guys through the restricted years didn't get a ton of money either. And you didn't get paid until you got to UFA status. And it kind of became a league of, you're kind of getting paid on what you did, and maybe you can still do for a little bit, and then we got to buy you out. Well, those days are kind of going by the wayside. So William Nylander hold out for a long period of time, get a huge contract. We've seen other guys coming off their ELC to big contracts and paying players for what they're going to be in their prime. So I expect the same exact thing in regards to Matvei Michkov. That's my kind of thought on how that will play out. Tim sent me an email, said, hey, Jason, just watched the latest Flyers Daily, and I'm a bit confused. On the one hand, you said, quote, you need talent to win. I'll say it again. You need talent to win. No argument there. He said, I'm in total agreement. Where you lose me is when you again say, this isn't the summer to go big game hunting. Are we trying to win or not? If Danny does at least try to get Marner, it takes two to tango after all. I think it sends the message to the fans and the room that forget this season, we still won't be any good. mentality, and I'd much rather go the free agent route than a trade. This is a talent thing, team, that they can't afford much subtraction. Just my thoughts. Stay healthy. God bless. Tim. Yeah, Tim, thanks for the email. Yeah, you absolutely need talent to win. I don't care who your coach is. And I want to talk about this on an episode coming up because I saw it on Flyers Reddit about the effect of a coach on the game. A guy had asked, does an NHL coach have the least amount of effect on the outcome of any of the coaches of the four major sports, football, baseball, and the NBA? That's something to debate for another episode. But any coach needs to deploy talent to win. You just do. Sometimes talent's not enough. Sometimes you don't have enough talent. Sometimes you got enough talent, but you don't have the right mix of talent. But you have to have that mix of talent. You have to have that mix of guys that are willing to do the jobs that don't get all the glory, which is when you look at Tampa Bay and Nate Kucherov and Stamkos and Hedman and a really good team, but they couldn't get over the top, and they went out and they made a deal. They got Blake Coleman. Got a couple of guys to fill those roles to do the dirty things, the things that don't garner big money or big attention. And they ended up winning back-to-back cups after that. Now, was that because of those guys? Barclay Goodrow was another one. Yeah, in part it was, because you can't just be talent heavy. But the Flyers do need talent. And you go, well, if they need talent and there's a 100-point player, Mitch Marner, available, where's the disconnect with saying you don't want to go after him? Well, he said, where you lose me, he said, I said, this isn't the summer to go big game hunting. Their cap is healthier this summer, and they do have some LTIR they can play with, but their cap doesn't get fully healthy this summer. For example, the Flyers cap hits for the 25-26 season that they still have, these are all coming off after this. Ryan Ellis at 6.25. Cam Atkinson's not retained, but buyout, 1.75. Kevin Hayes, they picked up part of his retention, $3.6 million. Scott Lawton's 1.5. Fedotov's 3.27 this year. $16 million in dead cap money this year. All off the books after the season, except Ellis, who has one more year. $26.75 million in cap space this offseason with Cage, Forster, York, and Peltier as RFAs. But again, that number goes up significantly next offseason. And while Marner is an elite talent and a top performer, he's not a center. And center's the need. And I'm not one of those people that's afraid to get star players that are wingers. I have no problem with that. I don't need my best offensive players to be centers. I don't. The Rangers' best player has been Artemi Panarin, winger. We've seen it in other instances as well. So I don't need them to be a center. Flyers need centers, though, number one, and I'm willing to pay more money to centers. The thing is with Marner, for me, again, if they were to go out and sign him, I would immediately be excited to see the player, to see the team improved, because he would improve the team. No doubt about it. You'd have to make some other decisions. Probably have to move on from another right winger or two, which, again, to find top talent is the hardest thing to do. I can find other guys to fill those other roles. It's like in the NFL. If you don't have the franchise quarterback with certainty, you're always a team looking for the franchise quarterback with certainty. Knowing the importance of that, you got to find it. And the Flyers got to find top talent. And he is top talent, and he very well may be available. We'll see if he gets to free agency. I think he will. The Chicago Blackhawks have the best odds to land him. The second best odds now have the Toronto Maple Leafs and then the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't think it's the right fit at this time. And look, I don't know if McDavid's going to be available the next year. Eichel's up as well. I really don't think Eichel is. I think Eichel extends in Vegas without question. McDavid's maybe a little bit more of a question mark for me. But then you look at all the teams you'd have to compete with. So if there's a 100-point player out there that's an unrestricted free agent, you have no cost per acquisition because you're not trading for him. You're just not. Why are you not in favor of that? And sometimes I have to roll with my gut. I don't feel like he's the right guy. He's got good numbers in the playoffs. And I've seen that team, and I truly believe playing in that market and the pressure that's under those players affects them in the playoffs and has. But just the body language, I haven't liked it of his in the playoffs. He loses his S a little too much in the playoffs. So I just don't feel like it's the right thing to do. I just have to roll with my gut on it. The numbers he has are fantastic. He's a great player. Bill and I talked about him last offseason, that if the Leafs got knocked out in the first round, would it be worth trading for him going into the final year of his deal? I've always been intrigued by him. And again, I have no problem with him, my best player at the time being a winger. I don't have a problem with that. And I'm not signing Mitch Marner because of Owen Tippett or because of Bobby Brink or because of depth that I have at that position. I just don't feel like it's the right thing to do. And I know a lot of people disagree and totally get it. It is rare that a player of his caliber is out there and available. It doesn't happen a ton. Some people say, well, just move him to center because he played center in junior. And they moved him to the wing, but you can just move him to center. Well, I don't think he's a center in the NHL. I think he's better coming off the flank in the NHL. And they have some good centers there. That was part of the reasons why they moved him as well. When you look at obviously Austin Matthews and others, John Tavares. But Tim, thanks for the email. I do appreciate it. Going the free agent route, yeah, it's a slight overpayment a lot of times, but there is no cost per acquisition. So that is part of the equation when it comes to grabbing a big-time player for your team moving forward. One of the other things I saw a couple notes on was Thatcher Demko. His name is out there now as a potential guy that Danny Briere could trade for to grab a veteran goaltender to play pseudo in tandem with Sam Ersson and strengthening that position. And, it's really hard now to evaluate goaltending in the NHL. I'm having a hard time doing it because you cannot go on raw numbers because save percentage has been plummeting in the NHL the last couple of years. Now, why is it plummeting? My theories are simple. I know Andrei Vasilevsky talked about it earlier in the year, and our friend Kevin Woodley did an article with him, is that goaltenders aren't getting the shot volume that they once got. They're getting higher quality and less quantity thrown at them game in and game out. Now, this is partly an effect of analytics in hockey, showing the strength of scoring chances, that when a puck goes across the ice on a lateral play, the chances of the goal being scored on a one-time shot go up by a factor of 60% because the puck crossed the middle of the ice. Now, why does the middle of the ice matter? Because if the middle of the ice matters, is because the goalie's got to go from here over to the other side. You can lose your net. Plus, you have to open up your body to get there. And if it's on a one-time play, that's the effect. It opens up holes in the goaltender. It doesn't make him a stationary save maker. It's a goaltender in motion. And when he's in motion, he's less under control, less time to read the body, read the stick, read the shoulders and the eyes. So that's one reason, the potency of scoring chances. Obviously, the stick technology keeps getting better. It is ridiculous at this point. They did shrink the goaltender's equipment a few years back, and it started to come down a little bit then. Is that part of it? Probably a little bit part of it. Players are more skilled now than they've ever been, and especially with that technology of the stick. To me, it's the lateral plays, the no cookies to the goaltender, just throwing low danger scoring chances at goalies to let them build up numbers. And it's the screens, it's the deflections, and it's all of those things. Expansion is also a big part of the equation. There's 32 teams league now. That thins the herd of goaltending. So the overall save percentage now is for the last season, it's at 900. That's pretty low. It's dropped down significantly over the last bunch of years. In 94-95, it was 901. Then 898, then it started to go up. We saw this guys with all this huge equipment, Gar Snow, and they finally got their wraps on that. It peaked out in 2014 and 15 and 15 and 16 at 915 save percentage. The equipment rule changes came into play in 2018, 19, It was down at 910 for 2 years. Then it went to 908, 907, 904 2 years ago, 903 the year prior to this, and this past season, 900. So there's a lot of reasons why. Teams are trying to figure out how to defend it, the lateral play. Rick Tocchet, for example, runs the box and one. And when I broke down his systems, the box and one is intended to pressure the guy with the puck, but also clog the middle of the ice with bodies, sticks to prevent the lateral play. That's why that is a good defensive structure in today's game. We see massively potent power plays, and it's all part of it. Has goaltending gotten worse? I don't think so. It's just that save percentages have gone down with less volume of shots and just more quality, slightly more quality and less overall shots bring save percentage down. So it's hard to judge a guy like Thatcher Demko, who this past year in limited action, 23 games, ended up with, I believe it's his career low, of 889 save percentage. He actually was lower in his first year. He only played one game where he had an 867. But 2 years ago, when Vancouver had that really good season under Rick Tocchet, he had a 918 save percentage in 51 games, a record of 35-14-2, a 2.45 goals against average, and 5 shutouts. He has been injured over the last 3 of the last 4 years. Not even really that. He played 64 games in 21-22. Came back, he played 32. Then he played 51 the year prior to this, and then this year he played 23. Is he a guy the Flyers should consider trading for? Well, Frank Saravalli put out this list from the Daily Faceoff of the top 20 trade targets for the NHL offseason. He put it out yesterday. JJ Peterka was number one. Let's get to who he had and why we're talking about Thatcher Demko. He had him at number 18. Demko is 29 years old. As again, he's played 23 games, 2.9 goals against average, 89 save percentage, and a shutout this year. He's got 1 year remaining at $5 million AAV, so low risk to the future. The Canucks have a good goaltender with Lankin in there, and they signed him to an extension, so likely Demko's on the books. Does it make sense? And even Frank mentioned Demko seemed awfully loyal to Coach Rick Tocchet, wondering if a reunion in Philadelphia is possible. Now, I'd be open for it, but you got to do your homework on the medicals. Got to do the homework on the medicals. Can't bring him here and have him unavailable. I always say it. The best ability in sports is availability. I don't care how good you are if you're not available. Because if you're not available, you're right back where you were last year. And if you're determined to not let goaltending undo your team, that may be a risk that's not worth it. Then you got to look at a John Gibson, who's also on this list of the top 20 trade targets from Frank Saravalli and Daily Faceoff. Now, Gibson's 31, 29 games last year, so didn't play a ton either. 2.77 goals against average. Good save percentage, though, 912. He has 2 years remaining at $6.4 million. So a little bit more of a commitment from the financial part. When you look at the top 20 trade targets, though, JJ Peterka is number one. Is he a guy the Flyers look at? Pending RFA. He's only 23 years of age. He's been a top-line producer. He had 68 points this year in 77 games. That's a guy that I'd be interested in. Marco Rossi's number 3 on Frank Saravalli's list. Now, he's undersized. 82 games this year, though, 60 points, 24 goals, 36 assists. Pending RFA. Do you call up Bill Guerin to try and make a deal? Bowen Byram's available, apparently, from the Buffalo Sabres. He's a left-handed D. I'm probably not going there. Jonathan Marchessault, 34. I'm certainly not going there. Some other names on here, Erik Karlsson. I will take a hard pass at the 34-year-old. Connor Murphy, also on the list. K'Andre Miller. That's an interesting one, K'Andre Miller. Vlad Tarasenko, I'm not interested there. Elvis Merzlikins is also on this list. 31 years of age. 53 games last year. 318 goals against average. 892 save percentage and a shutout. And 2 years remaining at 5.4. I'm probably not going there. Probably not going to do it. Some interesting names, though, on this list of the top guys that are available, including number 20. Elias Pettersson is still there with 7 years remaining and $11.6 million AAV. I think Rick Tocchet left Vancouver for a reason. I'm not saying Elias Pettersson was the reason. I think there was a lot of reasons, for him to move on. So I don't think a reunion with Pettersson is likely, even though, again, like I said, I don't think that's the reason, at least not solely why Rick Tocchet decided to move on from the Vancouver Canucks. So real great emails and everything else, and great stuff from everybody. Wanted to get through all of that, but let's get to right now our Flyers exit day interview. Sean Couturier, he is the captain. Of course, he's come out and said that he and John Tortorella didn't have the most open relationship. This past season, he played 79 games, 15 goals, 30 assists, 45 points. His ice time at points was really high, and then other times it was really low. It was a bit all over the place. But how can Sean Couturier rebound under Rick Tocchet? That'd be a big, big thought of mine going into this season and over this summer. Well, let's hear from him right now. Flyers Exit Day interview series continues with the captain, Sean Couturier. Special edition of Flyers Daily with our Exit Day interview series. And joining us right now for a conversation is Flyers captain Sean Couturier. Coots, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
You've been through this end-of-season thing for a long time now. Has it changed the way when the emotions of the end of a season?
Has it changed? I guess it varies from year to year, but it's when you miss the playoffs, it's always disappointing. Especially this year was a tough, frustrating year. I think for us, taking maybe somewhat of a step back in the standings compared to last year. So, big summer ahead, and for a bounce back year, I think as a group.
What's the first thing you do when the season ends? Do you have like a clean shave? You get a haircut and go, okay, the season's in the rearview mirror? Do you do any of those cleansing things like that? As you've gotten older,
no,
a little spiritual?
Really. Not
Burn
really.
some sage?
No, just have a couple drinks and try to think about the year and move on.
Process it?
Yeah, process it. Take a week or two, sometimes go on vacation. But right now I don't have really any plans, honestly. I'm just going to relax a little bit, enjoy some family time,
yeah.
and like you said, process the year and then get back into it soon.
I thought your game through the year just steadily improved and got more and more effective. The year prior, after coming back from the multiple surgeries, really fast start and maybe hit a little bit of a lull in the back end of the season. This year, I thought the way you finished the year, the last two games in particular, I thought you were really on your game, very active, being a pain in the ass all over the ice. That's what you can do with your hockey IQ. How do you feel like you finished the year?
Yeah, I think if I think the first half or so, obviously down for me, disappointing, frustrated at times. But I would say since the break, since the Four Nations, the last 20-25 games, I think I finished strong. I played some good hockey at both ends of the ice. I just wanted to kind of finish strong and build on that and go into the summer feeling somewhat good and knowing that I can still perform at a high level. Just try to kind of build off of that and go into next year with the same kind of style of play that I finished with.
Did you take that opportunity of Four Nations to say, okay, this is a reset. Let me push the envelope here in this final stretch?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a good time for me to have a break mentally and just kind of, like you said, reset everything, refocus, and find a motivation to kind of finish strong I thought down the stretch played some good hockey. Just like I said, gotta be better though overall throughout the year.
You're the longest tenured athlete in Philadelphia, and I know the first thing you'll say is that, what does that mean? Well, it means I'm old, right? But you only have one career. You want to win, and there's been a lot of subtraction here over the last couple of years, and the subtractions haven't come with equal or greater replacements. So you're ready for the build part of this, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I have 5 more years on my deal. Probably maybe the last 5 years of my career. So not as many years as there used to be left to win the cup. So I want to first get back into playoffs and play some big games but the ultimate goal is really to win the Stanley Cup here, and so hopefully we can turn this thing around. I think I heard Danny say this was probably rock bottom this year, and hopefully we just keep climbing now from now on and get back to being contenders.
That's an exciting time when reinforcements are on the way to help you guys make those steps moving forward. What's it been like off the ice adding Mishkov? I know that you're pretty close with him and his transition to North America and obviously the NHL game. What's that process been like from when he arrived here, at training camp to where we sit here at the end of the season?
Yeah, well, at least now you can have somewhat of a conversation with them. I feel, the first couple of weeks, first couple of months, it was tough to communicate at times, but
are you nodding because you understand me, or?
good on him though for learning and adapting to a new country, especially at a young age like that. I'm sure it's not easy, so I just try to make him feel comfortable as much as I can and make it easy for him. And we all know the talent he has on the ice, the skill he's got. So I think the more comfortable he feels, the better he'll be. And yeah, he's I think he's improved his game overall. We all saw the offensive side. I think he's got some things to learn on the defensive side, and he knows it, and he wants to learn and be better. So it's nice to see his growth.
Yeah, he's a competitor too. He's a gamer.
Yeah.
He's ready to get in there and get after it. Guys will protect him because of his stature, but I have a feeling he's a guy that goes, you don't need to protect me all the time. I'll protect myself too a little bit. He wants to get after it. He really brings out offense. And there's a particular play that I look back at that happened a couple weeks ago where he delivered a puck to you on the back door. The obvious play was just to dump it off to Owen Tippett. It was cocked and loaded for a one-timer to his left as he's on the left side of the ice. But the 200 or 2000 IQ play is the cross-ice pass to the back door to you. When playing with him, you got to recognize that I got to go to good ice because he can get it to me at any spot.
Yeah, he's a guy that has that ability to make good, great plays out of not much. He'll get 2-3 guys on him and make that little pass to create time and space. And I try to just find the open ice and give him the puck and find the open ice. I think we've done a good job at working together to kind of move the puck quick and finding each other. And he's been fun to play with.
So obviously, last thing for you, this offseason, there's really big decisions to be made, starting with the coach. Whether that's Brad Shaw, somebody else, and obviously that's a big decision on who's going to lead the bench, and then what additions are coming to this team. How do you look at it all? What are those conversations like with Danny, without getting into too much detail, about charting this thing forward? You're a captain.
Yeah, I mean, it's in his hands. All the management stuff, trades, free agents. Coaches, so I just try to put my trust in him and what he's doing. Like I said, it's been a tough year, but I think we gotta pinch ourselves sometimes and look at the big picture and there are some positives and a bright future ahead of us. So I mean, obviously he can, if he wants my input or ask me what I think, I'll give him my opinion. I think he respects my opinion, and whatever he does with it, it's on him. It's up to him.
The thing is you played with him. You know what competitor he is. He's not liking this losing thing either. He wants to win. You guys share that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You know that for sure. The way he was a playoff performer.
Yeah, he's got the mind in the right place. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's got that disposition. Coots, enjoy your summer with the family. Appreciate you doing this. I'm just so looking forward to next year for you. Now 2 years removed from all the surgeries and all that rigmarole that you went through, and I know it was tough on you physically, mentally, and everything else. To me, you're a player coming into next year, I think, is going to take another step back to your rightful place where you are. 76-point seasons, 30-goal seasons. So I'm looking forward to that. But I want you to enjoy the summer with your family, and we'll get back after it in the fall.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, there he is, the captain, Sean Couturier. We appreciate him taking the time. Always love talking to Coots. Big summer for him as he'll head into his season, 32 years of age, and a player I'm going to be real interested to see how he bounces back. I have a feeling I thought he played his best hockey at the end of last year. Really do. I thought he played really strong. And despite the fact that he may not be as fast as he was, and he was never fast, I thought he anticipated the game in the last third of the season really well. And that bodes well for the Flyers. He's obviously under contract for a number of years remaining. So he's going to be an important player for the team. No question about that. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You can always send me those emails at jason.myrtetus, myrtetus@gmail.com. You can drop a comment here on the YouTube page or send me a DM on Twitter X as well at Jason Myrt, JasonMyrt. Hit the button, like, and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. And we will talk to you coming up on Friday on another brand new edition of Flyers Daily. Have a great day, everybody.